All right. A couple minutes late, but I wouldn't be a tradesman if I wasn't a couple of minutes late for everything. That's just how the trade world works, right? Uh, I, can I lie? Yeah, I think so. I've never been on time for anything, so when it says 8 o'clock, we're actually doing it an hour earlier because Hilco is in the central time zone, and it's frigid down in Texas, so we wanted to get them in before the service calls start ramping up. I gotta say, it's warmer here, or sorry, it's colder here in Canada than it is in Texas, but Texas is freaking out. Flash, how are you, my man? Hope things are well over there in Ontario. Hopefully, you don't you're not being drowned out by the horns over there. So, Karis, how are you? Did I say that right? Hopefully, I said that right. Yeah, it's been a crazy week. Started off with our minus 30, and as Sparky Sean says, um, but the Chinook hit about Tuesday, and it's or not Tuesday. The Chinook hit Thursday, and it's freaking glorious. It's like right now it's about 5 degrees out. It's supposed to be 15 or 20 next week, so we'll see how that all goes. I hear it's nonstop. It's crazy down there, eh? Woo! We have the same sort of thing happening down at our border, the crossing at Coots. I read this morning that they just 150 cowboys showed up down there with the horses and stuff. So, and we're supposed to. If you guys know anything about Alberta and our premier here, Jason Kenney, he's a bit of a flip flopper, which is what politicians do. On Monday, he's supposed to announce the end of everything, the scheduled rollout to the end of anything, ending with our vaccine passport, which, without getting into the deep dive of that, isn't a vaccine passport. Okay, politicians twist it like crazy. There's my man Oliver. His group has been affected severely by what's going on, running this bananas, whatever the government thinks they're doing. Hopefully it's over. I don't know what else to say. You know, I haven't seen Nick join in yet, but it's COVID's absolutely real. Let me just start off with a bang. It is real. It's something that we need to be careful of. It's something where it started from, heaven knows. That could go into a major whatever podcast. But morning, Oliver. And Kenny is a wanker. But do I think it's the plague? It's not the plague. It's not. It just, like, it doesn't equate to that. And the numbers don't bear out. The government has, their computer modeling has failed. So, see ya. Enjoy church. I got church in an hour. I got mine's at 11. And we're doing it early because Hilco wants to go to church too. So we got some good church going boys here. All right, I'm bringing in Nick.
Technology gonna work. Oh,
I'm on.
you're on.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Sweet. Does it sound okay? I've got AirPods in. I don't know if it's gonna work.
I got the same. It sounds good to me. Everybody
Okay.
else?
This is probably the first time I've ever been on a live, believe it or not. I've never even done one myself.
This is my third one. So.
You know what's funny? What's funny is I'm like an old man when it comes to Instagram and Facebook and all that.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea how Facebook freaking works.
I don't think Facebook knows how Facebook works.
Yeah, I had Facebook like when it came out. What was that, like 2009, 2010?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
got rid of it like right away, and I just
yeah,
got it again like a year ago because I got family all over that's all they're on,
yeah,
you know. And so it's like, well, crap. I've been trying to dodge that bullet for so long. So,
yeah. So all your high school crutches are coming back to see you then?
oh, tell you what,
Hi, Nick. How are
there's
you, buddy?
there's a good
You were so
that is a
sexy in
block
high
party.
school.
Hey, join this pyramid scheme. I mean,
Yeah,
advocate.
the pyramid scheme's going down. What did they lose this month? Like
Oh
three
God,
hundred and I want to say it right, $325 billion.
yeah, it's
Woo!
insane.
How do you lose that much money? And anyway,
I guess
that's,
people aren't signing up to be lower tier AMSOIL distributors.
is
Not like
that
they
what you
used
get down
to.
there? Ads oil?
Yeah, it's funny. The first time I ever wanted to buy AMSOIL, I got a card from a guy and it was like, "Oh, by the way, here's my distributor card." I'm like, "You're a mechanic at someone else's shop." He's like, "Yeah, but I'm also a licensed AMSOIL distributor, and if you want to be one too, let me know." And I was like, "Oh, I'm good, buddy. I'm good."
So not only can you put in their circuits, you're like, and here's some oil for your frickin' car, right?
Hey, I don't know what this shirt you're wearing is, but I don't know if you can see mine.
Uh, oh, he's got one of the originals.
Yeah, yeah. It's got the crest on the back and everything. Look at that.
Yeah, that's right, man. It's like a
Woo!
biker crest, man.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
There we
trying
go.
to
That.
watch.
Go ahead.
Oh, so I'm trying to watch on the iPad too because my phone is so far. Hillcock first this in the morning. Um, I'll tell you what, Mike. I think you're high, and I love it. I think we know. I think we know what the reefer and HVAC reefer guy really means.
That's exactly what that means, right?
Oh yeah.
It's HVAC first, and then it's the reefer,
The
and
the
then he's a
internet
guy.
the internet
Is
is gonna
that
burn. Jeff,
is
what
that
are you
like
trying to say?
is that like his pronouns? Is that your pronouns, Mike?
Um, I thought his pronouns. I thought his pronouns were
HVAC,
fucks.
reefer, and guy.
I thought his pronouns were just fucks. I know that's not a noun, but it's funny. Sorry for the language. I am trying to curse less, but there's just sometimes you just Mike gets in the group or in the feed, and I just can't hold it back. You know, he
No,
brings
no.
out the best in me.
That's what it's supposed to do. That's the beauty of the internet, right? The
Heck
good,
yeah.
the bad,
Well,
the ugly.
according to Jeff, it's gonna burn. I don't know if that's because I joined or what. I'm nervous now.
That's because we have two Texas people on here at the exact same time.
Uh-oh. Who's the other guy?
That didn't I see frickin' Keller on here?
That's a joke. Jeff is practically a Cajun. Jeff is so far east, his Texas card was swapped out for one from Louisiana. He, he,
That's right.
he
Texas
grew up
is.
he grew up eating Jeff grew up eating crawfish tamales.
How many people are in Texas? What's the population of Texas?
Chinga if I know, man.
Do you know?
I
This is
mean,
totally
our
unscripted, by
town,
the way. Like we have no
yeah, our
idea what we're talking about.
our yeah, our town has like 22,000 people on the books. On the books, you know,
Yeah,
realistically, it's
yeah,
like 25,000. You go San Antonio, which is an hour away. You know, everybody here, well, probably has heard of like the San Antonio Spurs and the Alamo. You know, never forget. But they've got millions of people compared to us. You know,
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
I can drive 8 hours and still be in the state. You know, in a couple different directions.
Yeah. It's huge,
kind
right?
of, kind of like
Massive.
some of like y'all's big old places. Sure, not as long as
Yeah.
California. That's the United States long boy, but you know, we try. Oh,
No,
30
there's
million. Thank you,
law
Jeff.
30 million. That's how many people live in
30
Canada.
million.
I think we came up with 35 or 36.
They're all
And
in
I
Austin.
think
Yeah, Mike, they are.
That's Austin is who got me banned. That's who took me down, man. My freaking my buddy in Austin. I'm a hate speech promoter. Apparently,
Man,
it's a bad gig.
it's funny. I don't care really what you believe, what you want to believe. It doesn't bother me. If you want to say whatever you want, say whatever you want. I'm not going to go and try to get your account taken down. Screw that. I don't know. Who has time for that? Apparently, that guy up near
Who does
Austin
have
has
time? Yes, he does. He went to a lot of effort to do that. So,
Yeah.
well, we'll see what happens. All right. So tell us about the trade in Austin, Texas. How are the sparkles, which is my term of endearment for the electricians, if anybody doesn't know.
Well, you know what?
How are the sparkles?
I'm actually an hour and a half away from Austin, so I don't know how it goes quite over there. So I'm in the hill country, which is a lot of people don't figure that out. Hill Coast Sparky is hill country. Oh, can you hear me? My internet's acting up.
Uh-oh.
Just froze.
Clearly you're in the hills. I heard that you're Hill Coast Sparky is a reference to the hill country.
Yeah. So as that loss of connection there, that's a great example of where I live.
And did you get to kill it? Like you were worried about the storm. Did it come, or did it just sort of not as bad as you predicted?
It's 34 degrees out right now, which is not terrible. I mean, we're used to getting this kind of temperature in our winter, which is 3 weeks long. And it starts at the end of January, but we're just not used to getting like snow and freezing rain all at the same time. So we had freezing rain. I think it was Thursday morning, and then because we didn't work, and then it snowed in the afternoon. It was super light and fluffy and pretty, but underneath that snow was ice.
A skating rink.
Oh yeah, so it was not fun. I couldn't get down my driveway. I have a long concrete driveway, so I just hung out, but I didn't need to go anywhere. Some people didn't have it as lucky. We did have one fatality on the interstate nearby. I don't know if it was a local. They haven't released any of that info, but someone just slid, and then a semi flipped over on the ice and slid right into them. And so one person, unfortunately, that I know of didn't make it. But, those roads are just we're not set up for Salton roads out here. They don't do that. It's not a thing here, And people were already on the road and got stuck out there. And that next morning, they tried to keep going. And, well, you couldn't see the ice under that fresh powder,
Yeah.
And just not enough sense, or maybe they just thought they could try it and chance it. And unfortunately, we did have a loss of life in the area.
Even up here, where we're prepped for it, our province spends about $30 to $40 million a year over the winter salting stuff.
Yeah.
That black ice is killer, man. You hit that stuff, and you're just like, I'm hanging on. Hopefully we make it. It's crazy.
Jeff says we have sand trucks. That's exactly right.
So some play sand out there, and you're good to go.
Oh, pretty much. Well, basically, they just went to Corpus and just scooped it up and then dropped it off here. Yeah.
One of the crazy things we have up here is we have our light rail transit, which gets our trains that take everybody around the city. And when it gets in the winter, obviously the tracks ice up, and so they literally have little dispensers in front of the wheels. Every time they press on the brakes, the sand ejects out onto the track and onto the wheels, so that it'll give it some grip. So you'll see it looks like it's dust, a powder of dust on all the wheels. It's crazy, the stuff that you try and do to continue operating in the cold weather. Cold is a killer.
Mm-hmm.
But you do some crazy, fantastic shit down there, man. Like those, what do you guys call that stuff? The barn builds that you guys do.
Oh,
that's
so
awesome.
I get a lot of flack for that term. Well, I started to whenever I started posting. Barn dominiums is what people call them here.
Yeah, there we go.
And they're getting popular all over now. But I mean, the first barn dominium I ever worked on was probably a decade ago, maybe a little bit more. But basically, what we do here for barns, because it's just cheaper and more efficient to build them this way, is a slab on grade, foundation with a metal shell and then metal all around. And if you want to finish it out, you can do there's a couple options. You can leave off the panel insulation and put spray foam directly on it inside, or you can leave that panel insulation, frame the inside walls, and then put sheets of, whatever type you want. Some people are doing rock wool now. That stuff where they cover the walls and then do the fill. And we don't really see that a whole lot. That was popular here in like the early 2000s. People were doing that a lot on like tract homes and stuff. And there was a lot of failures with that sort of thing. So yeah, Jeff has a barn dough. Yeah, it said barn and Baker perked up, Alan Carlson. I'm trying.
Carlson, I brought up the barn. Come on, man.
I was going to say, he's not paying attention.
I know. And we're in the barn, man.
Yeah. I was gonna do this from my barn, but I don't have internet out there. So and that's it's the thing, the electrician never runs the wire to his barn,
That's right.
It's like the cobbler's kid.
Cobbler in his shoes, man.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody in my house would say the same thing. Can't you fix this? You're a plumber. I'm like, yeah, but you guys don't pay me enough to do it, so
exactly.
I'm not doing anything.
Exactly. My I'm not trying to sound mean here or anything, but my favors, my list of favors is pretty short here because
that's right.
and most of them are at home.
Yeah. Your list of favorites has to be short or it's never ending, right? Isn't that how that works?
Good God, yeah. As soon as someone knows you got a truck and a trailer, hey, that's it.
That's it.
And if you got a
you can help me out
here, then you're really screwed.
Yeah. Is that what you run most of your stuff out of? Is trucks?
So we actually have Ford Transit vans. We've had them for I guess 6 years now. We switched to the Transit from the Econolines. So we like them. I mean, we had the low roofs, and now we have all the mid-height. The only reason we didn't go with the high roof is because we've got a lot of low-hanging tree entrances around here.
I've seen that.
It's one of those things, like those mid-height vans without a ladder rack sometimes just barely clear because we have these groves over these entrances, and a lot of the times,
you guys like those canopies, right?
It depends where you're at. If you get some real Southerners that move in here, they really love those canopies over their entrances. I mean, they plant groves. A lot of the time, though, it's just that there's so much cedar or there's so much oak. We don't really have a whole lot of mesquite up here, but they're just so congested close to the driveways and the entrances that you're scraping your trucks up all along. So we like those vans. We do have a few trucks. We got a couple diesel trucks in the fleet and a couple trailers that sometimes it just makes more sense. Right now we got a crew of just 4 guys, but we'll pile up in a crew cab and pull that enclosed trailer to a job if we're going to be on a job all day long. And it's more efficient that way, more cost effective than taking 4 or 5 vehicles. But for running service, we all have our own vehicles. So literally each guy can hop in a van or a truck and just take off if we're all going in different directions.
And so where do you find your best ROI? Is it new construction, your barnuminiums, or service?
Well, that's the funny thing. A lot of people always want to say service, and service is probably going to be the number one. But when it comes to new construction, with the stuff that we do, we're not doing it by the bid. We're doing it cost plus.
There you go.
So why
can you do that though? Why can you do that?
Well, because I guess we have a fairly decent reputation.
There you go, right? Yeah.
And I guess a lot of trust involved. It's been hard work to keep that. My dad laid all the groundwork years ago, and he's still involved in the business to this day. But as he started putting me more in a position where I had to learn the business side of things, I had to really quickly sort of see, okay, what's the most important thing here? And is it going to be the customer's always right thing? No, but it's going to be making sure that the customer knows that you are going to take care of them. Yeah. So if you're telling them what they think is not correct, they're going to trust you, and that's been the kicker for us. So
that's the key, right? That's how and that doesn't happen overnight, right?
No, it was a lot of work. Like I said, it took years of watching and learning, and it took years of practice on my end. I'm not perfect at it. There's still things, we can all fumble the ball very easily, but it's just a matter of making sure that people know that you're going to keep your word and you're going to take care of them. Like right now, we have a project that so that I don't know if you saw that little tour I did on the job site the other day. It's the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
one I've done in probably over a year, just because I've been so busy with other things. I haven't really got on Instagram to post work related anything. But that particular
You're
project,
just you're just lit in the chats, right, Nick?
what's that?
You're just lit in the
Oh,
chats, right?
you know what? Years ago I decided, all this influencer stuff is kind of annoying to me. I'm just going to do
Uh-huh.
whatever I want. And so my bio says I do what I want.
Yep.
So someone said, "Oh, you're a meme page." I'm like, "No, I just make memes when I feel like it." I don't think I've
Yeah,
made a
yeah.
meme or posted a meme in a long time, but I mean, in the group chats or in the DMs, I like to
Yeah, yeah.
share some stuff.
Yeah. Yes, you
I've
do.
actually made some stuff for the group chats that I thought about posting. But again, who
We're,
has
we're,
time,
we're,
right?
we're the test audience. Is that how that works?
I guess, yeah, I guess it's funny. I actually made some stuff years ago that I never posted, but that I sent like to Mechanical Hub. I sent to the guys from Vito. I sent to all kinds of dudes, just poking fun at them. But we get along. We've got along for years, so everybody knows it's all in good fun. But I thought, man, if I post this, I'm gonna get lit up by people like just hating me.
Yeah, yeah. No, you got to know your audience, right? There's things you can
Yeah,
say
and
and things you
it's
can't say.
it's one of those things. I mean, really and truly, honestly, I don't care about how many followers I have. I don't even know how many followers I have, Baker. I mean, I don't pay attention to that really. I mean,
Yeah.
people say, "Oh, I don't care. It's not about the numbers." I really don't. I did a giveaway once, and it was like, "Hey, tell me how much you hate me."
I
And
missed
it was,
that one.
yeah, you did.
Oh, damn.
It was years ago. It was years ago. It was funny, and I got DMs like, "Dude, what's wrong with you? Like, that's not how you do a giveaway." I'm like, "I know, that's the whole point."
That's
And
how I
then
do my giveaway.
yeah, and then the guy who won it was some random dude. I don't even know to this day. I've never even followed him back. I just saw that his number came up in the random number thing, and picked him and
Yeah,
sent him the freaking tool bag that I paid for. Yeah,
there you go.
it's one of
That's
those things.
awesome.
I've never been sponsored by anyone. I think I got a free battery from Milwaukee like when the 9.0s first came out.
Yep.
And I think that's because I signed up with their supply store, and they found my email, found my Instagram, and tagged me on it, and I was like, oh, I won, I guess.
It's the best day of your whole life. I
Oh, I
won.
know. I was like, sweet, I won a $250 battery, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna go and buy four more. So,
Exactly right. Yeah.
so
Okay,
that's
I
how it went.
interrupted
But
you with your tour. You're going through your big tour of
oh,
your house.
what was that even about? That was oh, just that
The
I
thing
hadn't
that you.
done it in so
Yeah.
long, and that project was one of those things where you fumble sometimes. Around here we have a lot of good old boys, and they're at the power company, they're at the gas company, they're at the water company, and they tell you, oh yeah, we're good to go, everything's fine, just tell us when you're ready, that sort of thing. And I fumbled the ball because I said, oh cool, we're good, I've known these guys for years. As soon as I get all my specs in from my HVAC guy, from my plumber, not you, but from my
I would mess you up, man. I promise. I would mess you
from
up for sure.
no from my wine cellar guy, all that stuff. I needed all that equipment specs, and I couldn't get a full load calc done until I had it all. And so I didn't push them hard because I was like, well, they're stressed too. They're just as stressed as I am, and I can be kind of a hard ass when it comes to being on the job and stuff I do for work. I mean, for good reason. I like to be efficient. I like to get things done and give results. But I thought, well, I'll take it easy, and we'll get it. Our deadline is this year's Thanksgiving, anyways. So October, I finally got all my specs in, and I called them. I said, all right, we're ready for y'all to get started out here, and here's the load calc. And they freaked out. They said, that service is too big. We've never done a service that big. I said, well, bullshit. I've done bigger services for single phase all over the state. And they said, well, we can't supply that. So it's going to have to be three phase. I said, bullshit again. And I said, all the equipment's already been bought and paid for and stored on the property.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, we're going to have to do something about that. So it took us, I want to say 3 months back and forth. We had to hire in our own electrical engineer because the lead engineer at that power company would not
Wouldn't
certify
do
the
it for you.
service size after we gave them the full load breakdown, which interestingly enough, the exact same thing that we got back from our engineer was almost to the T. I think I was off by maybe 35 amps or so on the load calc. but it had his
Yep.
stamp. And so, hey, they did it. So we're still without power on that big site. We have temp power, but we don't have a service yet. So it's one of those things. You can drop the ball, but all you got to do is make sure your customer and your client, your builder, they know that you're going to take care of things and make it right. And I did that, and they're happy. So
No.
Sometimes
it takes the extra mile,
fired.
right?
Oh yeah, I'm not fired yet.
Have you ever been fired, Dick?
Although I had to get an Eaton tattoo on my ass in order to get my equipment fast enough. Have ever been fired?
Have you ever been fired?
No, actually, not been fired
No?
off of a job. We've quit jobs for sure.
Okay.
We've never been fired off of one. We had one where there was a guy who was a builder from Houston building his house here, and our local builder was GCing the job, and so everything was going real smooth. And he had his opinions on things. We told him, no, this is why you can't do it that way. We have different codes here. Here's what these are, and here's what we're allowed to do, and here's what we can do for you. And if you want to change it later, go by all means do it. But if we're going to be on this job, it's going to be done this way. And everything was going okay up to that point. And then we got to go back to do a trim out, which is after drywall and paint and all that. Basically put in your fixtures, dimmers, switches, all that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden, all of our kitchen countertop plugs were gone. And I said, well, that's weird. There's tile where there was plugs. They tiled right over them. And then I look up under the cabinets, and there was these real pretty wooden trim boxes at a 45-degree angle put in with wire sticking out. That wasn't the wire we used. We used 12-gauge wiring. They had 14-gauge wiring. And I thought, I said, well, there was a change, but that wasn't us that did that. And so we asked him, and he said, oh, yeah. He said, I didn't like the plugs on the wall after all, so I decided to put them up here, and I had my trim carpenters do it. And I said, well, that's not going to go. I said,
Nice.
how did they rerun the wires? He said, oh, they made them a junction box and then ran it up, and it's just right there. And they covered it with tile? Yeah. I said, can't do it. They said, well, we do it all the time back home. I said, well, then you can get whoever's back home to finish it for you because we're not going to freaking do it. So there was a little bit of animosity there with us and the builder because we walked on that one. And we lost, I think we lost like $11,000 on that draw that we were still owed at the point because that guy was so mad he didn't want to pay it. I said, I'd rather take that loss than have to live with something that's not right and have my name on it. And
have it come back to bite you in the butt.
Oh yeah, and we have a third-party private inspector that we use all the time. And so I talked with him. I said, hey, since you're going to be inspecting that job, go now and look at what's there. It's up to the point where we've done work, and just so you know, someone else is doing this now, and you can see what they're doing. And I'm not telling you to make them change it because it was it was a privately funded deal, so there was no bank required inspection, and there was no local AHJ authority having jurisdiction inspector. But we always do things based on the code that is where we're at, where we're based out of. And then if we're way out west, then we do it based on the state, which is NEC. Current NEC is what the state requires. So he said, no, he goes, I have it all noted, and it's going to be in my report that, what was done and up to what point. And he said, because I have the past rough-in right here, because our builder hires that third-party guy, and we recommend him for anyone who needs an inspector anyway. So, I'm not worried about that. If something ever goes wrong in the future, someone saying, oh, that guy wired that house. I'm like, okay, pull up the report, and you'll see exactly where I stopped. It's one of those things. People don't think to ever do that, but it can cover you if something ever goes wrong. And I've never had it to the point where it goes wrong enough to where I've had to pull that card, but I always have it in my back pocket just in case.
Yep.
So,
no, it's true. We've had a few of those.
You got to kind of be a shark sometimes, Bob.
Listen, you gotta defend your own territory, right? That's literally how that goes. Because those, especially with the internet these days, we don't do much residential for those reasons because they all know more than I do, right? They're like, oh no, man, I saw on this that this is okay and this is okay. We did, I'll save the long story, but the homeowner's like, no, this is how I want this done. I'm like, then you got to get someone else to do it because. Oh yeah. But you've done all my work. You're willing to risk. I'm like, I guess like what you want me to do is not. First of all, it won't work. And second of all, it's it's based out of Texas or the southern states, right? So our
Yeah.
our BTU loads are vastly different than yours because our climate's vastly different than yours.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, well, no, they wouldn't make it if it wasn't okay. I'm like, no, they make stuff based on where it's going to be installed, man. It's not
Exactly.
some universal fit that everything works out just fine.
That's like me telling you we got to go 100% off-grid solar on your place when it's going to snow a lot.
Right? Next week we're talking to the solar guy.
Yeah, supplemental might be good, but
yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Like,
depending on what time of the year, you're probably going to have a bad time.
Yeah, an awful time.
Whereas here we might have a bad week,
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's when you see those guys talk about, which I agree with on some level, those green initiatives. I'm like, that's great, but that in this neck of the woods, and lots of places in the Northeast states and so on and so forth, when you hit those, when it's minus 30, it's minus and covered with.
Oh, yeah.
There's no sun. Like you're gonna freeze to death. If you don't have fossil fuels backing you up, that's a reality.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
So, no, this electric thing will work no problem. I'm like, no, it will not. It will not work at all.
Yeah. I'll tell you. Last year, when we had our big freeze, as we call it, last year, that was probably
The big freeze. That's right.
That was probably 6 times worse than what we had here today.
That's caused all the world's problems, Nick. There's no resin. There's no epoxy.
No.
You can't get oil. Like everything's effed. Thanks to the.
We're paying like $110 for a stick of 4-inch PVC right now.
I believe it.
For 4-inch Schedule 40 PVC, we're paying $110.
Yeah.
And that's because it still kind of bounces every other day. I mean, I've got on that big job I told y'all, I've got $15,000 in PVC in the ground right now.
It's insane what it's. And
yeah,
I don't know how long that's sustainable. I know
that's cost, Baker. That's not what it actually costs the customer.
Yeah,
but that's cost. So.
And so ours is more because not only do we have to take it from where do you guys make that shit, Galveston or something? Anyway,
I don't know. Somewhere on the carcinogenic coast.
Exactly right. Where they can easily dump their shit into the ocean, right, without any reprisals.
Pretty much.
They got to ship it up to me. They got to cross the border, so we got to pay our duty on that stuff, and then I got to buy it. Like it's. We just did a job where we just quoted at a restaurant, and he's like, "This is what I want." I'm like, "Dude, it's going to cost you $35,000 more to do it that way."
Yeah, I remember you told me about that. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. Keller just put on here. I love my boy Keller. He's spray painting his white pipe gray, but he just said PVC conduit is double what PVC 20-foot joints are. For some more perspective for people who are wondering, I think it was last week or the week before, 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC gray pipe was more per foot than 2-aught copper wire.
Oh my gosh! So maybe Keller's on to get a stencil
there. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm thinking of using copper pipe now.
Oh, that's crazy.
We'll just use it as our earth, as our grounding. How about that?
Yeah, that's right. Well, they do it up here because all of our
on the ground is considered wet location. What better bond? You never have a better bond.
Most of our water lines here in Alberta are all copper, and so you guys just bond, like you run your bond right to our water lines.
Yeah.
And they're 8 feet deep, so they're deeper than any freaking earth rod you could pound in there, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, who needs a Ufer ground when you have that?
Yeah.
Someone just said stainless steel
is cheaper than brass. That's insane.
You gotta wonder sometimes where we're going.
Where are we going?
Excuse the slurping. I'm drinking tea. Sorry.
That's you do your thing, man. That's what this is, raw and real. Just do it.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your advice to the world, Nick? What do you got for? what do you got for the young up and comers out there? Got
Break your
anything?
break your back, but don't wreck it. How about that?
Break your back, but don't wreck it.
My grandpa used to say
Was
that, and he was a hardworking dude, but I didn't listen to him. How about that? I've got 6 bulging discs. I've got stenosis from C3 to C6, which we're not sure 100% is related to injury or congenital, because no one in my family has that issue.
Did you fall off a roof or what?
No, you know what? I've never fallen off a roof. I've never fallen through a ceiling. Knock on wood somewhere. The frame of this
Yeah,
couch maybe is good
Sorry,
enough.
I just cursed him. I better knock on something.
The resin is so sacred now. Yeah, just about a year ago, or actually it's almost 2 years ago now, I started having these really, weird headaches and lightheaded moments up on a ladder, and I thought, oh crap, is my weight getting to me? Am I having some kind of, blood pressure issue or diabetic issue or something? And I got down and immediately felt a little bit better, and I thought, oh, that was weird. And shook it off, felt fine, got back up on the ladder to start doing stuff, picked my arms up over my head to measure, and immediately just everything started waving on me, and got right back down, sat down for a while, said, I'm going to go home and see what's up and call my doctor. And I did. And they said, no, we can't find anything wrong with you. Your blood pressure's good. Your blood sugar's good. You don't have diabetes. You don't have I forgot what else they checked me for. They checked all sorts of stuff. My motor functions were fine. And they said, let's get you some therapy. We think you just have a really severe pinched nerve. And I said, all right, well, went and did that. And they were working my neck. And they said, you know what? We're going to adjust your neck. It's going to sound like it's cracking really bad. But, you've all seen the videos of the chiropractors take the person's neck and the table and they real quick do a nice little back and forth deal.
Yeah.
And so she did that, and it felt super weird, but then I felt fine immediately after. And she said, is that okay? I said, yeah, that was fine. Well, the minute I walked out the door, all of a sudden I felt like I had a knot in my neck, and I walked right back. And I said, hey, okay, that's not feeling so hot now. I feel like I can't turn my head right. And she said, oh, okay, well, let's see. And she's like, well, you don't have any knots. I said, well, it sure felt like it, like really deep in here. And she said, okay, well, let's see. And she said, let's check your x-rays just to be sure. Because she has an x-ray machine in her office, and so she does them right there. And she checked it out, and she said, well, I can't really tell what's going on, but let's do a little exam. So she was doing pressure points and all. And sure enough, I had lesser range of motion. And she said, okay, I'm going to order you an MRI. And I said, well, maybe we should have started with that. And so she orders the MRI, and come to find out I've got stenosis from C3 to C6 or C7. I don't recall.
I don't know what stenosis is. What is it?
So basically, I have too much bone on the inside of my vertebrae. So your vertebrae, where your spinal cord looks like a ring with a nerve popsicle in the middle. Well, I'm squeezing the nerve. I'm squeezing the nerve popsicle because I don't have enough room.
You're too thick, Nick. You're too thick.
Hey, what does Abel call me? Nick with 2 C's?
Exactly right.
I'll tell you what, it's a little suspect sometimes. He loves his thick. He loves his thick, doesn't he? It's usually about us too, and not. Well,
he does love his thick.
I'm not going to say anything else.
It is. So have they got? So they don't know where that comes from, injury or just genetics.
Could be both. There was a study a while back. Yeah, somebody put thick Nick. Yeah, that's exactly what Abel calls me. Abel's World of Electricians, by the way. If anyone doesn't know that, World of Electrician's name is Abel. Give him some hell in these comments.
Yeah. Roast him.
Oh man, I've known Abel. Abel's probably one of the first people I ever met when I joined Instagram. Well, when the trade started popping off on it. It was him, Gnarly Carl.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Him, Gnarly Carl, and HVAC Artisan were like the first 3 people that ever started talking to me on here. Shout out to Brad and Noah. But yeah,
I would agree.
They said, well, it's not too bad, so we'll get you some more therapy. So I was doing therapy. I changed my diet, lost quite a bit of weight, and felt really good actually. The beginning of 2021, I felt awesome. I was back in the gym. I was lifting weights. I was running on the treadmill, using the elliptical, was hitting the pool, swimming laps, feeling really
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Then I got swimmer's ear, and I let excuses get the best of me. So I didn't go back for a few weeks after that. And then I went back again. I was like, oh, I'm tired. I'm just gonna do a small workout. And then you quit going, period.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm one of those guys. I've got a treadmill, but I've got a really nice one. I've got weights, but if it's here at home, I won't use it. I got to make myself go somewhere to use it. So,
Yeah.
I might have to go to your barn and just pump some iron with you one of these days.
That's what it's. Yeah, I kind of, I turned 52 a couple weeks ago, and I was probably about 44, 45, where I sort of the same, just hurt my back and my knee all in the same week,
Hmm.
and was laid up for a couple of weeks. And as a self-employed whatever contractor, like there's no sick days, right? They're like, okay,
Oh
well,
yeah, no.
you guys handle the shit. I'm just gonna relax here and take care of myself. So, you walk around lame for 2 weeks, and it was just that realization. I'm like, man, if I'm going to continue to be in this trade and continue to support my family, then the only way that that's possible is if I, start looking after my body, because
Yeah.
that's literally, I've said it before, that's the best tool I got. It's the most important tool I got. If you don't have that stuff, then you're in big trouble.
Oh yeah.
And
And
so,
then what the bad thing is too, that the mental anguish you can put yourself through when you come to that realization, like, what did I do? You know,
yeah,
when it
yeah,
first happened to me last year, I thought, man, did I overdo something one day? And I started looking back. I was like, I've been overdoing it for almost 15 years.
yeah,
You know,
right?
when you're raised in the trade, you, you know it from the time you can twist wires properly. So I
Yeah,
started officially, getting my license when I was 18. But I mean, I wired my first house, Bob, when I was like 13.
yep,
my
yeah,
dad, my dad had taken on a small tract subdivision. I say small; it was probably like 40 houses. Um, but I was maybe 11 or 12 when he took that on, and I was always helping him like on the weekends or after school or whatever, and on service calls, late service calls, because he worked 24/7. Go and hold his
yep,
flashlight, hold his tool bag.
yep.
I knew what all the parts were, where all the parts were. I cleaned the vans, organized the shop, all that stuff, and so he took me on a Saturday and said, "You know what?" He said, "I need you to wire this house." I said, "In one day?" He goes, "Well, no." He goes, "But you can work on it on the weekend." And I already knew the codes for spacing for devices, for switching, for outlets, all that stuff, fixture requirements. Because as we're working, he always would tell me, "Hey, this code says this has to be here. Hey, this code says this has to be here." And so, I had those things memorized, and I hadn't been on as many of those houses yet, but just knowing that, I walked into another one and said, "Okay, it's pretty similar. I'll just do that there." And I knew how he liked to run his circuits. I knew how he liked to separate things, and so I was off to the races. The only thing I needed help for was um, pulling in our feeder cable through the attic, which he helped me with. But I mean, it's one of those things. How old am I now? I got to think about it. I'm 30. Well, I got to think about it because I've just been telling people I'm 30 for the last 3 years because I just honestly don't care. I don't keep keep track of it. I feel like I'm 80.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funny.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
The spine surgeon a couple months ago said, "Well, Nick, you got the spine of a 78-year-old." And I said, "But the kind that still runs ultra marathons in the weekends, right?" And he said, "No,
Yeah,
the
that's
other
right.
kind."
The other kind.
So yeah, shake
No.
it off. That's someone wrote on there, shake it off. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do, and you have to, and sometimes it's really hard to do it. But like I said, when I had lost that weight, got back in the gym, man, I was feeling on top. I didn't have any more neck pain, but I made the excuses to let work to a degree dictate what I had time for. And so I put all my time in work without making enough time for myself. And that time for myself was going to be in the gym or, you know, um, out of the park walking. I used to go to the park. I'd walk a couple miles, or I'd ride my bike a few miles, and then I'd still go to the gym and I'd work
Yeah.
out on weights and swim. So it's one of those things. That was my me time, and I kind of let the work, which needed to be done, but there was, looking back, of course, hindsight is always 2020 when you're looking in the mirror. Looking back, you can see, okay, yeah, there was a thing there I could have definitely done more efficiently, and I could have had that time and been better off. But you live and you learn, and so I'm working on it again, trying to get back to where I can get back in the gym and get healthy again, because you're no good. You're no good to your family or your guys. In my case, your employees and coworkers is how I think of them. They're dad's employees. They're my coworkers. You're no good to them if you can't help them.
Yeah.
And and my role lately has been more so, I'm no good for them if I can't get them the work that they need and get them to their jobs and get the jobs ready for them, which is just as important. But at the same time, I got to be available, that if they need me there, I'm there. And I'm usually there every day, no matter what. It feels weird sometimes just kind of hanging back and not doing a whole lot. But they're really understanding. They know how hard it hit me when it got me. And, they knew that there were some days where I had trouble even just walking. But so they're really cautious. They're like, they see me picking up something heavy. They're like, hey, put that down. So that's pretty cool. It's a good crew of guys we have, man. Really grateful for them. But yeah,
that's the important part, right? Finding the right
you can
right
break
guys.
your back. Oh yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. I mean, I go to supply house every other day, sometimes every day, multiple times, and you see the same faces with different shirts on all the time.
Yeah.
We've got one guy that's been with us since before I started. German guy, and he's awesome. And he doesn't want to go anywhere. He does some side work, and we don't blame,
bust his balls too much.
No, not at all. It's one of those things. He gets those jobs that he wants to do, and that's fine by us if he wants to do them. And it's not really affecting us, because, and not to say that it's in a different caliber, because he's doing the same quality work that he's putting out with us. But, he's doing it at a little bit more affordable rate for people who really can't afford what we do and what our builders are putting out there. And, service work too. There's still people that can't afford our service rates. When it comes to service, we mainly do commercial and rental property service for the clients we actually build places for.
Yeah.
We have a client that we've been building and adding onto their property for years, but we also do all their service work. So they have multiple properties that they manage, and we take care of all the service for those properties. Some of them are commercial buildings, like one of our clients owns the building that they lease to Wells Fargo Bank here in town, so they own both of them. And so we do all the service for those banks here. We do for all the offices in those buildings. We do some work for the USDA office here in town. A lot of stuff that we do service-wise, I can't post anymore because you just can't take pictures or record in these places. In someone's home, it's not always a good thing to take a video in someone's home either. But if they're really cool and relaxed and know who you are, and then they have no problem with you. Like, hey, can I take a video of this really cool thing? And they're like, yeah, go for it.
It's the rare circumstance where that's, whatever the word is, socially acceptable. Like unless I'm in the, mechanical room, I'm rarely, you're not walking around some dude's house. Hey man, so we're working on this and we're doing this, and even like you say, the commercial spaces that we work in, we try really hard not to let anybody know, there isn't any names, there isn't any faces, or just my ugly mug and some nasty crap that we're working on.
Tell Turbo.
Yeah,
that.
Turbo does. Turbo does whatever, which I get. Yeah, no, listen, as we've talked about, we'll get Turbo back on here eventually.
You want to talk about tenacity? Turbo takes tenacity and takes it, to the freaking moon.
Yes, he does. And listen, that may work for him, but I wouldn't suggest that for anybody. He's a unique unicorn all to himself. So
Yeah. And you know,
Yeah.
our builds, a lot of people will show every detail of every build, and you know, if I wanted to, I could probably tell like stuff like every now and then I'll post like the
Yeah.
finished project or our guys doing something, pulling in the cable or you know running lasers and running Homer helpers and whatnot, just because it's little bitty micro marketing things that I post.
Yeah.
And they know that and they're cool with it and they like it. And, you know, it's one of those things that I haven't ever had any pushback with it. But I've also never said, hey, do you mind if I like interview you as to why you love these lights? And I'm not, I'm not that kind of guy, you know. I mean,
No,
no fault to anyone who does that and who can pull it off, like Rob. But you know, I'm a private guy
Rob's
myself. I
like the
mean,
gorilla. He's like the gorilla guy. He's just like in your face. What do you
yeah.
think about this?
Yeah, he's like the Alex Jones of the Instagram trade world.
Not wrong. Yeah, that's a good description, I think.
Tell me why the aliens are stealing all of our copper.
uh,
These interdimensional space beings are taking all of our polybutyrol.
yeah, that's hilarious. Well, I agree with you on all that stuff. Like, you got to look after yourself. It's tough. It's tough. I was having a conversation with a guy the other day. He said, "Dude, when's the last time you took a holiday?" I'm like, "The last time I, like, legit took a holiday for more than like a 3-day weekend or something was probably 2009."
Yeah.
So that
For me, it was
work-life balance,
2016.
right? Like that
Yeah.
work-life balance is just if you've decided to run your own show and have a family and like then you get to unfortunately I think and in my circumstances you get to forfeit some of that stuff because that's the choices you made and there's nothing wrong with that but I hope to correct that in the next decade or so and start taking some more holidays but
Sure. Yeah. And you
my
know, it's
kids
one of the.
my kids
Yeah.
are
Sorry, you said.
not they went everywhere we sent them all over the freaking world. Yeah, we sent them all over the world to play basketball, and they went to family reunions. The whole family went, and I stayed home and worked because that's how the bills get paid, right?
Yeah.
And as a business owner, like those bills never stop, like never, ever
They do not.
stop.
No matter how far ahead you think you are, guess what? You're 3 steps behind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The government's going to come reassess something. Oh yeah, I know you paid up in full, but we decided to owe us more money.
Yeah. And it's always funny when you overpay them. They're like, "Good news, you have a credit for next year."
Yeah, exactly right.
They don't give anything back.
I I No, I think it was like 2003 or something like that. That was the first time I got that letter. Like, congratulations, you got a credit. I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna hang on to that for next
Yeah.
year. So you're still gonna owe us money. I was like, oh,
You go from yes
this is how
to
this
no.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that meme that
yeah,
someone made a while back of it's like, "Hi, I'm 18 and I'm just calling to see what I need to do since this is the first time I've had a job and paid taxes. Like, are y'all going to help me figure that out?" And she's like, "Oh no, you got to figure that out on your own." Okay, but if I get it
yeah.
wrong because it's my first time, it's not a big deal, right? They're like, "Oh no, you go to federal prison." It's like,
You go to jail.
what?
I've seen a few. I've seen a few like that. Like teach us how to buy a home or invest money or pay taxes. No,
Yeah.
I need you to conjugate this verb.
Yeah,
What? Are you
exactly.
kidding me?
Oh man, it's amazing
Uh,
the the vocabulary I had when I was in school versus what I have now. I'm like a wild man to a caveman
it's
state.
true.
And it's like, well, you know what? I still know those words, but guess what? Half of them are BS and I don't need to use them.
That's right. When's the last time you conjugated a verb, Nick? When's the last
Whew.
time you actually did?
Tell you what,
Uh,
what's a verb?
uh,
Just a poor old dumb Texas boy who lives in the hills. I
That's
may
right, the
look
hill country.
I may look like a brown.
He was raised by the white wolves. Oh no! You went out. You locked out there for a second.
Oh no! Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
The last thing I heard was you were driving through town.
Hear me now?
Uh oh.
Hello.
I can hear you now. You got birds flying over the hill country, interrupting the internet.
How about there?
There we go.
Am I back?
That's good.
No.
You're back. Maybe.
I'll tell
Yep,
you
I
what,
think you're
a
good.
transformer at my neighbor's blew up, and I don't know if it might be the one that feeds the phone substation. That's probably why my internet's screwing up. Actually, so I live in this cabin, and maybe a quarter mile down the road from me is the substation for the phone company. And so I think it was one of the transformers near there that blew up, literally at like 8 o'clock this morning.
Oh, really?
So that's probably why my internet just cut off. They're probably working on that.
You're,
I just
you're
turned off
lucky
my
that.
Wi-Fi. I'm on cell service now.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, we won't let you burn up your AT&T bill.
No, I've got unlimited. It's all good.
You're all good.
You have to when you work on the phone, Bob.
You're not wrong. We're the same way. My phone bill's outrageous. It's yeah. 'Cause you're always on the phone.
They always ask me. They're like, "How do you talk this much? How do you text this much? How do you use this much data?" And I'm like, "What world do we live in?" You know, I'd love to not have to.
Everything
I carry a
everything's
notebook
on the
still.
phone, right? Like your
carry
office is the truck.
yeah. I carry a notepad.
That's where
I
mine
use
is.
this more than my phone, but it's one of those things that everything else has to be done via a connection.
Yep.
It's even some of our services that we use for work, like our bookkeeping software, my layout and design software that I use for bathroom heated flooring, because I do my own heated flooring install and I do my own templating, because it's all electric. It's not hydronic down here. Nobody does hydronic. Everybody's scared of it. Everybody's afraid of a slab. Everybody's afraid of a slab leak. Well, and I think the reason is when it was getting popular down here years ago, everyone was still using Kitech.
Yes.
And so that was a huge nightmare. So, we started doing my dad started doing electric in the early 2000s, and we have systems that are still running to this day just fine, but and they're used so minimally, especially here. They're used to just keep the floors from freezing because people want tile floors and stained concrete floors, and get them a path to their shower from their bed. And although I did do an entire house a few years ago, that was like $35,000. That was like $35,000 just for the heat mats.
I believe that. Those things are outrageous. Up here, they're like gold. You'll buy like a 2x3 section, and it's $800.
Yeah. I'm
2
not
by
sure
3
what
foot
it is.
section.
I'm not sure what it's running for right now. Like I said, that was about 3 to 4 years ago, but it was 35 grand to do the master bedroom, the hallways, the living room, the kitchen, and 2 more bathrooms. And we didn't do the dining room, because why would you want the dining room? But it was.
Can you see who just joined? You talk about the devil, and he shows up, man.
Whew, tell you what, his ears were burning.
His ears were burning. Let me tell you a little secret about Turbo. When he spent like 5 days at my house, he was the last one out of bed.
I don't doubt that at all.
But that's fine. No.
Baker lost some weight.
I'm in the gym, man. Where it's all dripping off in here, man.
You know what I just picked up, because my gym doesn't have one. Well, they do have one, but it's always hogged. But I need to start at home anyways and just kick that out of my system. But I bought a Rogue reverse hyper, so I'm excited to start using that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, start
Check
doing
out.
some
Ready?
traction on the back.
Yeah.
I've seen one at your place. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I turn this? No. Can I turn this